Now, I'm very excited on this edition of Isolation Interviews with myself, Matthew Rolland. My guest is the legend that is Alan Fletcher, all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Great pleasure, Matthew. We've had such a relationship over the years. It's always wonderful to chat to you.
I was going to say, we had to get you on here because obviously you've been a big supporter of myself and we love whenever we get the chance to speak. So, yeah, it's so good to have you here. Now, I just wanted to say, obviously, you know, life as we know it is very strange. How have you been finding everything that's going on, and how is life in Australia with lockdown?
Well, we're pretty blessed here in Australia, really. I know in the UK you are doing it tough. I'm absolutely gutted every day to hear of how many deaths there have been, and you know the extent of the reach of the coronavirus in the UK. I was actually supposed to be there right now, actually doing my stage show. The Doctor Will See You Now, and I've had to shift it out to September, and fingers crossed I'll be able to make that as well. But yeah, I'm actually just, you know, the UK is my second home, so I feel for you guys so much. In Australia, things are a bit different. We're like New Zealand. We're kind of close to not eliminating the virus, but having so little number of cases that we may be able to start returning to normal pretty soon. But having said that, though, with closed borders, most likely. So, unfortunately, the international travel won't be there. But, hey, hopefully we'll get out of this okay. And I hope you guys get out of it okay very, very soon.
Now, obviously, you know, similar to here in the UK, I imagine you guys, you know, restrictions are, you know, it's tough. We're going through it. We're sticking together as a globe, really. But it must be difficult even for you guys, just kind of how life has changed so much.
It is, and a lot of people are doing it a lot worse than I am, I have to say. I mean, in the entertainment industry, for instance, which is by, according to the Bureau of Statistics here, the worst affected industry because, of course, you can imagine performers work on numerous contracts throughout the year. So the government hasn't actually considered them to be part-time workers or freelance workers or sole traders or anything like that. So they slip through the cracks. So you've got, in Australia, over 100 TV productions have shut down, over 60 stage shows have shut down, there's hundreds and hundreds of performers. Then, as like the UK, exactly the same thing on the West End, and your TV productions. And then you think about, you go to musicians. You think about how many musicians make their living playing in pubs and clubs and so forth. All that's gone. So without government assistance, here in Australia, they're doing it very, very hard. I'm trying to raise money at the moment by doing shout-outs to people on video, just to raise some money to try and help artists who are struggling here. I think your government has actually got a slightly better approach to this.
Now, I was going to say, because obviously this has affected the way that we do things, but do you think in a way it has brought us closer together in that, you know, people are spending more time on, you know, Skype calls, Zoom calls, communicating with people, and do you think it's bringing people closer together?
I don't think there's any question of that. You only have to look at the huge uptake in things like Zoom, for instance. And, you know, I make a point now, I like to walk. I get out and exercise. I'm allowed to walk to exercise, which is fantastic. So I walk all day. And I make a point of ringing just one pal I haven't spoken to for a while, see how they're getting on. And I think more and more people are doing that. I mean, spare time will do that for you, won't it? I think it is making us a lot more considerate of each other. I mean, here in Australia, for instance, the social distancing has worked an absolute treat. People are really, really getting on board with it. And so we've been able to really flatten the curve here to an incredible degree. I mean, here in the state of Victoria last night, this is a state with a population, I don't know, something around 6-7 million people. We had only 3 new cases reported. And more importantly, no community transmission. So, you know, everybody's rallying to the cause. Everybody's looking after each other. The hardest thing here is probably the effect it's had upon the isolated people who live in isolation anyway and can't get visitations. The elderly are really doing it tough. Nursing homes and so forth where people can't come and visit them. So there's a lot of really sad cases as a result. So, you know, I every day I count my lucky stars. I'm here with my family, surrounded by family, lots of love. You know, we're all here together. But, hey, I really feel for the people on their own.
So obviously one of the things that was affected by this whole situation was, of course, the 35th anniversary, which Neighbours is celebrating this year. And one of the events, as well as your own show, where you were obviously coming over here, but you also had the Neighbours night, which was due to take place back in March. Obviously, yourself, Jackie Woodburn, Rob Mills, among others, were going to come and kind of do a celebration evening. Now, that's
Yeah.
hopefully going to be rescheduled for October, I believe. But for you guys, obviously, not being able to travel over here, it's obviously disappointing because it's a way of helping to celebrate the show. But without that, I still feel that the 35th anniversary of Neighbours was still a huge success, and you guys did an amazing job. So how do you guys feel it went?
Well, yeah, apart from not being on the ground in the UK to celebrate with everyone, and there was such incredible excitement about that Neighbours event, and the press surrounding it. Jackie and I were going to film in Ireland. There was all sorts of wonderful things going to happen. That aside, the ratings that Neighbours achieved in the UK are some of the best we've had for many, many years, and particularly, of course, the endgame episodes, which played late at night, which were an incredible success. And, of course, the feedback from the public about that little bracket of Neighbours was enormous. The great thing is that the enthusiasm for the program has carried on. People are still watching. People are staying with us. And, of course, even though we went down to 2 days a week in the UK, back to 3 now, I believe, or very shortly, I'm sure we'll be back to 5 episodes a week very soon. We're making episodes. There won't be a major interruption, so you'll be able to keep watching Neighbours. And let's face it, when you're in lockdown, what's a better thing to do than watch Neighbours?
Exactly, that's what we all want to be doing. I mean, one of the things that Neighbours does so well, and the 35th anniversary was a great testament to that, was the amazing faces from the past that we got to see come back. I mean, Stephanie McIntosh, we had Melissa, who came back.
Isabel, Bruce Samazan,
of course, Annie Jones. So many great faces to see back.
Yeah.
Olympia, and Scott. So for you guys having them back on the show, it must have been so much fun.
It was probably the most exciting 2 weeks I've had for a very long time. And, of course, Denise Van Outen came over to appear at the same time. It's really nice to have that UK connection. Great stories. Because of all the marriage stuff, with all these couples getting married, each day we go to work to watch a new wedding and be part of a new wedding. It was just enormous fun. Annie Jones, and it was incredible to see Bruce Samazan again. He was on the show when I first came along, and to see him all these years later, just an absolute joy. Melissa Bell's wonderful, and of course the best for me was young Stephanie McIntosh coming back to the show. Stephanie used to live on the corner of my street. I knew her when she was 12 years old. So a joy, just a joy.
And it's also quite nice to see her back as well, because obviously Gemma Donovan, who is her niece, I believe, because they're obviously related. So it's great to see them on the show at the same time.
Absolutely, there's no question. Yes, Jason Donovan is Stephanie's half brother, and so Gemma's a niece. So they obviously had a wonderful time catching up with each other. And Jason, of course, was in town at the same time doing Chicago. So incredible family connections there. And Jason came out and visited the set and did all that. It was really a beautiful time.
And the good thing is we have been able to keep Stephanie on. She's not going to stay forever, but she's been able to stay a little bit past the anniversary because, of course, this amazing storyline, the Finn storyline, which started off during the Endgame week, which was an amazing set of episodes, we must say. And in particular, one of my favourite episodes was the episode with Rob Mills and Jackie Woodburn, the two-hander. You must have been so happy watching them on that.
Oh, incredible. It's some of the best television you'll ever see. And Jackie, it reaffirms her reputation as one of Australia's finest performers. Rob did incredible work playing Finn through those last few weeks. But the whole ensemble in Endgame was spectacular. You have to bear in mind too that Neighbours made Endgame on top of doing the normal show, so literally they doubled up on everything we ever do. It was an incredible feat of scheduling, of commitment. The hours that were worked were spectacular, and it really brought out the best in what Neighbours can do.
And it must have been quite sad to have to say goodbye to Rob Mills and, of course, Damien Richardson, who plays Gary. So when when you lose characters like that, it must, obviously for the characters, it is a great storyline because it goes on. But in real life, you're obviously losing, fellow cast members, and you're having to say goodbye. So that must be quite difficult.
It always is. Over 25 years, I've seen so many people come and go, and it's intensely moving. We work in a very intense, close-knit relationship in a show like Neighbours. All the cast are very close, and when a character leaves, it's very much a great sadness. But tinged with that, though, is a bit of excitement, because as people leave, they often go on to do other jobs. They're going on to very exciting things. So, Robbie Mills, he's an incredible music theatre performer and a singer. He's always working. We'll still see him all the time. And Damo is actually dabbling in stand-up comedy and doing very well.
Wow, there we go. Now, of course, as well as all that, we have now got the continued storyline, which is obviously the fallout from everything that happened on the island. It's going to be, obviously we have still got a way to go in, for example, Ellie's storyline, because, we've got the whole, will she be found guilty of murdering Finn? For you guys, though, as a cast, a lot of people would think, okay, the 35th anniversary, you do those episodes and then it kind of tails off. But if anything, it's ramping up at the moment.
It is, absolutely. And while, of course, I can't give away any spoilers, every character who has had any involvement with Finn is deeply touched by the ramifications of Endgame. And everybody's got great stories. Susan and Karl have an very intense period coming up as a result of what Finn did. For Ellie, it's huge. And for Bea, of course, massive, when she finds out things that she didn't know about. And then apart from all that, over at Toadie's house, we have the resurgence, if you like, of the whole sort of DeAndrea thing. So there's an enormous amount happening.
When you're doing those scenes where there is high emotion, obviously we've been seeing Colette Mann has been doing an amazing performance, Chris Milligan. When you're doing those high intensity scenes where, Sheila and Susan are obviously having those fights and everything, you must be so drained afterwards, because they must take a lot out of you.
Well, they do. There wasn't so much for myself, but, as you say, Colette, Jackie, Chris, all the Cannings were very badly affected by Gary's passing. It is incredibly draining on all the performers, but, the one thing we do sort of have in Neighbours is such a fabulous ensemble. We lift each other back up out of that. There's a lot of humour on set. There's a lot of kind of, geeing each other up. So in amongst all that incredible emotion, there can be, a bit of, when the camera stops rolling, we can have a bit of a laugh. However, on some occasions, it's so intense that even that doesn't happen. And, I've seen a bit of that lately.
And of course, a blast from the past, because Simone Buchanan, who plays Samantha Gerald, has made her return. What do you think that will, how do you think that will improve, kind of make the dynamic going forward? How do you think having her back will kind of cause tensions amongst the Kennedys?
Well, of course, her what she did to Steph and to Libby and so forth was immense, and she's loathed in the Kennedy family, and the fact that she comes back and gets involved in Ellie's case, etc., and so forth is huge for the Kennedys. So yes, the drama that's coming up in the next few weeks is we had this phrase, but it truly is unmissable.
Now, let's go back to talk a little bit about your show, which, fingers crossed, will be taking place here in the UK in September. But tell us a bit about The Doctor Will See You Now.
Well, yeah, it was a show I put together. But basically, it just came from the idea of an agent saying, lots of actors do interview-style shows, and they're quite popular. People come along to watch you being, having chats and so forth. And I thought, well, that'd be nice, but I'd like to make it a bit of a show. So with permission from Fremantle Media, I've collected an enormous range of video clips. I also perform a bit of music, and my beautiful wife, in real life, who's a journalist, interviews me. So it's a highly entertaining 90-minute show for an audience, and of course it goes along with a sort of limited meet and greet as well. Yes, fingers crossed, I'll be over there in September. A lot of that's going to come down to how the Australian government treats international travel. and I may be a little bit trapped. But whatever happens, the show will get to the UK, and I hope to get it all over the country.
Now, what's it like being interviewed by your wife? Is that a strange thing, or have you kind of got used to it, or?
No, it's a lot of fun. We bounce off each other very well. We've been married for over 30 years. We have a deep affection and respect for each other. But she pulls me up. If I try and make something up or tell the audience one thing that she knows is not true, don't worry, she jumps on me.
Now, obviously, Neighbours is going so strong at the moment. Going forward, would you like to see the Kennedys have more? Because obviously, over the years, the Kennedys are known for kind of taking in people, wayward strays, anyone that's kind of going around. Would you like to see more people take residence in the Kennedy household?
Yeah, well, that would be fulfilling tradition, and of course, it makes for great drama. Yes, of course. I mean, we are a family that tends to pick up strays, and I'm sure that the Kennedys' bedrooms will fill up again as more people come through the street. We've got some fantastic new characters coming into the program very shortly, and yes, it's definitely. Jackie and I love working with young performers who are fresh to the show and coming onto the show. It's really invigorates us as well. So, yes, yeah, that'd be great.
And of course, you must have been quite excited when you found out that Bonnie Anderson was going to be singing the theme tune, because I believe that's the first time a cast member has ever sung the theme tune.
I believe so, and her version is beautiful. Bonnie, of course, is very famous in Australia as a singer, having won awards from the age of 12. And she has an extraordinary rock pop voice. And the best thing she ever did for the Neighbours theme was that she really gave us a beautiful, almost straight rendition. She hasn't turned it into it. It's a beautiful homage to the themes of the past, and her voice is so sweet on it. I just think I think it's the best we've ever had, to be honest. I mean, the jury's always out on Neighbours themes, which ones were best and so forth and so on. Some people are traditional, they like the older ones. I think this one is absolutely beautiful.
And I think the amazing thing with it is obviously it brings a freshness to it and a bit of youth to the theme, because obviously she's got an amazingly talented voice, and I think it's a great thing to do. And also, you never know, maybe going forward when Bonnie eventually leaves the show, they could get another cast member to kind of take over.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, I think that it would have to be someone who to match Bonnie's talent. I have to say that young Ben Hall on Neighbours is a fantastic singer. Doesn't do a lot of it, but he is a fantastic singer. He and Bonnie often do little Instagram posts together, singing songs. So you never know. I think maybe Benny could do it. Yeah.
Now, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Is there anything you'd like to say to people listening, either in the hospitals or just who are watching this now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, first up, to all of the frontline healthcare workers, you are remarkable. I'm feeling a bit emotional about this now because, it's so easy to underestimate what it must be like. I mean, every day going to work, knowing that you're actually working in amongst this very dangerous, highly infectious, deadly virus, and having to show, the same amount of compassion and so forth to those patients as you would to anyone else. It must be very, very hard. And of course, losing patients would be horrendous. So I just say to all the healthcare workers, you are amazing. And I know that the public in the UK join with me in congratulating you. I mean, all claps to you. To everybody else, if you're stuck in isolation, my heart goes out to you. I hope that people are very, very careful about looking after their mental health at a time like this. It's there are lots of health helplines you can contact. I know, Matt, you'll spread those numbers around on your Facebook page. Reach out. If you're having trouble, reach out. Make the phone call. Chat to someone about how you're feeling, because that's so important. And if you know someone who's in isolation and could be lonely, reach out to them too. So let's all do the best we can for each other. I'm very hopeful we can get through this and move on very quickly.
Thank you so much, Alan. It's been an absolute pleasure. Of course, keep safe, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the UK towards the end of the year.
Thank you, Matthew. Bless you and bless all your listeners.